This evening, first, tensions flare in the high-profile extradition case as attorneys for Azruddin Mohamed seek the removal of state prosecutor over alleged courtroom remarks. The matter now set for further argument, plus a boost for senior citizens. Pensioners to receive $56,000 in March as increased old age payments and back pay take effect. Also, brighter nights ahead. 100,000 street lights being rolled out nationwide, with Annandale North next in line for full coverage. Meanwhile, free eye testing for all. Government expands its voucher healthcare program to every age group. And internationally, Jong Un signaled plans to expand his country's nuclear arsenal, raising fresh global concerns. Those stories and more coming up. Stay with us. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for February 27, 2026. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, attorneys representing sanctioned businessman and opposition leader Azruddin Mohamed and his father Nizar Mohamed have applied for the removal of State Prosecutor Glenn Hanuman from the ongoing extradition proceedings after Hanuman allegedly referred to one of the defendants as the biggest criminal during a court hearing. The remark was reportedly made on Thursday at the Georgetown's Magistrates Court before Principal Magistrate Judy Lachman, while defense attorney Sian Dujourn was cross-examining Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Sharon Rupchan on the handling of the United States extradition request. During arguments that the extradition process was fast-tracked and politically motivated, Hanuman allegedly interjected with the comment. The defense counsel immediately objected and requested that the statement be placed on the record. Magistrate Lachman cautioned the prosecutor and later instructed both sides to submit written legal arguments in response to the defense application for his recusal. Dujourn argued that the statement demonstrated bias and compromised the prosecutor's duty of impartiality. Outside the courtroom, Hanuman acknowledged making the remark, but said it was not intended for public consumption.
It wasn't meant for public consumption. I was speaking to my colleagues at the bar table.
Hanuman maintained that he accepted the prosecution based on what he described as compelling evidence and indicated that he would challenge the application to have him removed. Meanwhile, the extradition proceedings involving the Mohameds have been adjourned to March 12th, with additional hearing dates set for March 13th, 16th, 17th, and 18th at the Georgetown Magistrates Court. On a different note, senior citizens across Guyana will receive a total of $56,000 in March as the government implements the increased old age pension, along with backlog payments for January and February. Minister of Human Services and Social Security, Dr. Vindya Prasad, announced that while pensioners receive $41,000 for the first 2 months of 2026, March payments will reflect the new $46,000 monthly rate plus $5,000 each in back pay for January and February. This brings the total March payment to $56,000.
The month of March will carry the increases for both permanent disability and old age pension. So all the back pay from January and February will be in your March money. So it will be equivalent to $56,000 just for the month of March for old age pension and $31,000 just for the month of March for permanent disability. So I wanted to provide that clarity. 2, you can only stamp your vouchers at the post office. 3, we will be working to ensure that quarterly you can stamp ahead. So in other words, when you go in April, they will stamp April, May, June. However, you will not be able to cash April, May, June. You will be able to cash April in April, May in May, June in June. So you can't cash ahead. You can only encash the month that you are in.
Dr. Prasad urged pensioners to ensure their vouchers are stamped at their respective post offices to confirm the updated payments amount. She explained that the stamp validates the new pension rate and ensures beneficiaries receive the correct sum. The minister also noted that pensioners are not required to visit post offices in person. Trusted family members or authorized representatives may complete the process on their behalf once it is authorized by signature or thumbprint and properly witnessed. The government said the system includes safeguards to prevent misuse while ensuring that senior citizens receive their full entitlements under the revised pension structure. Moving on, residents of Annandale North, East Coast Demerara are expected to benefit from full street lighting coverage within the next 2 weeks as the government ramps up its nationwide rollout of 100,000 streetlights. Minister of Public Works Bishop One Edgehill made the announcement on Thursday during an on-site inspection of ongoing installations in the community, describing the initiative as part of a broader push to enhance community and citizen security. Edgehill explained that certified electricians and licensed contractors are conducting the installation, supported by nighttime audits to identify dark spots and security risks before finalizing placement plans. Beyond Annandale North, works are also underway in neighboring communities, including sections C and D of Nonpareil, as part of the nationwide program, engaging multiple contractors to fast-track implementation. The minister emphasized that the objective goes beyond simple installing lights, noting that proper coverage and functionality are critical to improving public safety. He urged residents to provide feedback to ensure the initiative's success and caution against tampering with or attempting to influence the placement of lights. The street lighting project forms part of the government's wider effort to improve public safety and create safer communities across Guyana. Stick around when we return. Agriculture Ministry to install 40 new drainage pumps, upgrade 63 sluices in 2026, and government expands voucher healthcare program to provide eye care for all Guyanese.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Agriculture will install 40 new drainage pumps and construct or rehabilitate approximately 63 sluices in 2026 as part of a major infrastructure drive to support farmers, fisherfolk, and agro-processors across Guyana. Minister of Agriculture Zulfikar Mustafa announced the plans during the Starting Point podcast, highlighting that the sector has received a historic $113.2 billion allocation in Budget 2026. He noted that the agriculture budget stood at $18.5 billion in 2025 and $13 billion in 2020, underscoring what he described as a significant transformation in recent years. A substantial portion of the funding will go towards improving drainage and irrigation systems, including expanding high-level canals in regions 5 and 6, clearing thousands of rods of canals, and developing new farm-to-market roads. The upgrades are expected to reduce crop losses during heavy rainfall, improve water management in dry periods, and ease the transportation of produce. The minister said Ghana recorded 810,000 tons of rice production in 2025, up from 725 tons in 2024, with yields rising to 6.6 tons per hectare. The sugar industry has also been allocated $13.4 billion for factory rehabilitation and increased mechanism, aimed at improving efficiency and addressing labor shortages. In other news, in a major boost to preventative health care, every Guyanese, regardless of age, will soon have access to free eye testing and related services under an expanded voucher-based healthcare program. The government will expand its voucher program to allow all Guyanese access to eye testing and related services, broadening its preventative healthcare reach nationwide. Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, made the announcement during the signing of a memorandum of understanding with 67 stakeholders at Hermanson Lodge in Georgetown.
This year, what we want to do is to ensure that we open it up now for anyone who requires an eye test would be able to get that eye test. And if when you test their eyes, if they need a spectacle, then you will also have access to the $50,000. So I think it would now widen to everybody in the population. And so I think that would be a positive thing, because one of the feedback that we got from people is that they wanted this from 18 to 50. They wanted to be part of the program. So I think you will have a lot more people coming this year because they fall into that category.
The Eye Care initiative initially targeted children and older adults and was later adjusted to focus on persons aged 50 and above. However, following public feedback and growing demand, the program will now cover all age groups. Minister Anthony said the initiative has proven successful, noting a sharp increase in utilization. In 2024, over 134,000 vouchers were issued for services such as eye examinations, spectacles, laboratory testing, and HPV screening. That figure rose to over 326,000 in 2025, a 144% increase. The program has supported early diagnosis and treatment, with about 1,200 cataract cases identified and treated, as well as other conditions such as glaucoma. Expanded testing has also detected high rates of diabetes and cholesterol, enabling earlier intervention. Authorities plan to increase outreach in hinterland regions to ensure equitable access while continuing to advance the HPV vaccination and screening program nationwide. Don't go away after the break. South Sudan conflict. UN reports widespread sexual violence against women. And Argentina's new labor bill. Union says reforms the road protection for workers.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world.
Good evening, I'm Dominic Gittins. Tonight, the British Virgin Islands say it will not accept CARICOM free movement as it seeks full membership. Argentina's labor reforms spark backlash after mass layoffs. The UN warns of widespread sexual violence in South Sudan, and North Korea vows to expand its nuclear arsenal. We begin in the Caribbean. The British Virgin Islands will not accept free movement of CARICOM national if granted full CARICOM membership, Premier Natalio Whitley said at the regional summit. Citing its status as a British overseas territory, he noted security and foreign policy limits. The BVI is seeking to upgrade from associate status, with talks progressing. Other territories include Bermuda and Anguilla are exploring similar pathways with possible carve-outs. At one of Argentina's largest tire makers, workers found gates locked after the company shut, cutting about 900 jobs and blaming import competition following President Javier Milei's policy changes. Al Jazeera's Teresa Bull reports.
Workers on the rooftop of one of the largest tire manufacturers in Argentina. It happened when the company announced it was shutting down for good.
Around 900 people were laid off from this factory. Workers tell us that last week they came to this factory and found this lock on the main entrance and that they were not allowed in. Unions say that what's happening here is an example of what labor reform will generate in Argentina, where companies will use the momentum to cut jobs and reduce labor rights.
The company says the factory stopped being competitive after the government of President Javier Milei made it easier to import cheaper goods. Alejandro Azuma was among those who lost their jobs.
This is a loss of genuine labour. Work gives you a sense of dignity. And what happened here is important. It's also happening in many other factories around the country.
On Friday, the Senate will vote on legislation the government says will modernize the labor market. It aims to reduce severance pay and collective bargaining, make it easier for companies to hire and fire workers, and limit often costly labor lawsuits. If the measures pass, they will have an impact on more than 13 million registered workers. The government says the current system is outdated and its complex hiring procedures discourage investment. But unions are pushing back against the proposed changes.
For decades, Argentina's labor courts acted as a powerful shield for workers, but that's something the government is hoping to change. And that's why hundreds of people gathered right here in front of Argentina's Supreme Court.
There's going to be chaos. We want to disband 80 courts and create 10 to deal with labor issues. That is going to collapse any labor claim in Argentina.
But not everyone is against the government's plan. Guillermo Garat is a restaurant owner who believes something needs to change.
I think a labour reform is necessary because anyone can take you to court and you have no chance of winning. The system has been abused and they discourage hiring new people.
The new legislation is likely to pass. If it does, it will be one of the most significant victories for the government since Milei came to power. But millions of workers are uncertain about what the new regulations will mean for their future. It could represent a significant loss. Teresa Bo, Al Jazeera, Buenos Aires.
Women and girls in South Sudan are suffering widespread sexual violence amid escalating conflict between the government and opposition forces, deepening the humanitarian crisis. Al Jazeera's Malcolm Webb reports.
Hundreds of thousands of people have escaped with their lives from Jonglei State in South Sudan, many of them with stories they'll never forget. We've hidden the identities of these 4 women for their protection, each of them described running from village to village seeking safety. One told us armed men beat her with rifle butts so hard they broke her arm and killed her friend with a blow to the head. She says she's had no medical treatment.
We fled to the fishing camp to find something to eat. Soldiers arrived there in 2 armoured cars and 3 pickups. In the evening of January 22nd, we went out to fetch water. Me and another girl were captured by armed men and beaten with rifles again and again.
Fighting between government and opposition forces has escalated since December. Observers of a 2018 peace deal that ended the last civil war say it's all but collapsed. The deal ended 5 years of fighting between soldiers from President Salva Kiir's Dinka community and those from the Nuer community of his deputy and rival Riek Machar. Hundreds of thousands of civilians were targeted for their ethnicity. Both sides are now facing accusations of similar abuses. The women we spoke to come from Nuer communities in areas that were held by opposition forces that government troops recently attacked. One told us she was raped after walking for weeks with her 6 children.
I don't know where my 2 eldest daughters have gone. I couldn't tell how many attackers there were or how many of them raped me. They beat me until I was unconscious. When I came around, I saw them and realized they are not from our side, they are from the other side.
UN peacekeepers who were withdrawing troops because of funding cuts have reported a rise in kidnapping and sexual violence against civilians since late last year. This woman told us she was raped by 5 government soldiers and that she's not been able to breastfeed her daughter since.
When they caught me, they raped me, and my children were crying. They beat my older daughter with rifle butts. I was found and rescued by some people later when I was unconscious.
The army didn't comment on the allegations in this report. It's previously promised accountability for abuses, as do opposition leaders. The UN says impunity is entrenched. This woman told us she was fleeing with a group when armed men attacked and raped them. She says she was spared because she's pregnant, but she doesn't know what happened after being beaten unconscious. She says her husband and 2 children are missing, and something has felt wrong with her unborn child ever since. And, along with all the women we spoke to, she says there's no one to help. Malcolm Webb, Al Jazeera, South Sudan.
North Korean leader Kim Jong Un says he wants to expand his country's nuclear arsenal. His remarks came as the ruling party's week-long Congress concluded, where officials discussed a wide range of topics, including South Korea and the US. Al Jazeera's Jack Barton reports.
Kim Jong Un said it was up to the United States to decide whether it wanted peaceful coexistence or eternal confrontation with North Korea, making it clear that would require the US recognizing his country as a nuclear weapons power. Kim made the remarks towards the end of the ruling Workers' Party Congress, held every 5 years to set the economic agenda as well as foreign policy and defense, highlighted by a military parade featuring recently returned Korean veterans of Russia's war against Ukraine. Attended by Kim's daughter Jue, who Seoul believes is being prepared as his successor. Kim's remarks suggest he is leaving the door open for talks with US President Donald Trump, who has also expressed a willingness to meet. But Kim rejected Seoul's overtures for dialogue, saying South Korea is now seen as a permanent enemy. He also reasserted North Korea's status as a nuclear weapons state, vowing to increase the country's stockpiles. No sooner had the Congress drawn to a close than South Korea and the United States announced they would go ahead with joint military exercises next month known as Freedom Shield, involving 18,000 troops training for what would be a simulated attack by North Korea. Jack Barton, Al Jazeera, Seoul.
Thanks, Dominique. This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. And that's it with the headline news for this Friday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. We will be off for the weekend, but you can tune in on Monday at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other and do have a wonderful weekend.